Okay, so thanks for joining us again. We're back with our Ask an Engineer series, and today we're going to switch gears here a little bit, and we're going to look on the 3D printing side of things. So our engineer we have today with us is Andrew Garchek. And Andrew, can you tell us a little bit about what you do from day to day?
Sure. So I'm an application engineer with DesignPoint for almost 3 years now. And I wear a lot of hats at DesignPoint, but basically I do everything on the technical side with our additive manufacturing. So one thing I do is I manage our metal and composite 3D printing facility in Clifton, New Jersey. There we've got our Metal X, X7, Mark II from Markforged, and people come in and they check out the printers when they're looking to invest. Also, I'm involved in the evaluation process. So basically when somebody is looking to possibly invest in a 3D printer, they say, well, if you can print this part, then that's good to go. So I'll take a look at that part. I'll make iterations to it. I'll make suggestions about how it could be more successful for the process. And then also after investment, I work in support. So God forbid somebody has some sort of issue, then I'm there and I help them work through it. Or I actually, from time to time, will go on site and do repairs and stuff like that.
Okay.
Today, I'm actually in our Philadelphia office to calibrate our Big Rep machine, which is right behind me.
Okay, great. Yes, I was going to ask you about that. Can you tell us a little bit more about the printers that you use from day to day, and also what do you have behind you?
Sure. So this guy, oh man, this is the Big Rep Studio. Really cool printer because it's got a really huge build volume. Sometimes you see 3D printers that are the size of this and the build volume is still this big.
Sure.
But this one is just a gigantic FDM 3D printer. The build volume is 40 inches by 20 inches, and this is the small offering from Big Rep. The other offerings are 1 meter cubed, and there's even a bigger one after that. So we've got the little guy, the studio, and we've been actually running it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, making PPE, personal protective equipment, to get out to the healthcare workers. We actually have this Corona outreach team. So because we're running this printer so hard every day, all day at a very high speed, it has to be calibrated about every 2 weeks. So it's been about 2 weeks since the last calibration. So I've come back to just check the extrusion rates and make sure the bed's level and just run some tests on it to make sure that we're running tip top. Some of the other equipment we work with, we carry 3D systems. Going to be honest, my colleague works with those. I don't have a lot of experience with those, but I know we have a Projet 2500. We also have the Metal X from Markforged. That's probably the most fun thing I get to work with. That is a mixture of metal injection molding and FDM 3D printing. There's a sinter furnace, there's a printer, so it's pretty cool to operate. Even though it's a few pieces of equipment, it's pretty easy, so it's not too labor intensive, so it's a lot of fun working with that equipment. And also our composite machines from Markforged as well, which loop in continuous carbon fiber to make composite parts that are actually as strong as metal. So basically, in a nutshell, the short answer, after giving you the long answer, is we work with printers that are for manufacturers, high strength materials, large build volumes, stuff that manufacturers can use on a daily basis.
Okay, great, very cool. It's very interesting. That's awesome. There's so many printers that you get to work with from day to day. It's really cool. So you can work with customers and do prototyping as well as production?
Yeah, sometimes we do. Another part of my job, which I even forgot to mention, there's even another hat, is our printer service. So sometimes folks will contact us and they'll say, hey, I've got a prototype, or I've got a piece of tooling, or I've got some part that I need, but I don't really want to invest in a printer. I just need the one part. So we'll do a service for them. And it kind of works the way I explained for the evaluation with folks purchasing one. It's the same way. I'll kind of get together with them, go over what they need, what their needs are, critical dimensions, all that kind of stuff. Make sure we're giving it, the best chance of success and to be the strongest and highest quality part it can be. And we'll print the part for them and we charge them as a service and send it out.
Okay. All right, great, great. So can you tell me a little bit more about what's your favorite printer? Like what's your favorite printer and why? And what are some of the materials that you're printing with?
Okay, well, I kind of alluded to that earlier, but it's the Metal X from Markforged. It's got to be. I mean, it's just so cool. My favorite material that we've been printing with recently is pure copper, and we've been making some heat sinks with
Wow.
some really cool geometry. There's this one part, I wish I actually had it here. It's at the laboratory. It almost looks like a sun. It's got these thin walls. It's a heat sink, and it's got basically all these fins. It almost looks like an impeller, and it allows a pathway for the heat to escape electronics and disperse. So we're printing in copper. Another material that I printed in recently, which is really cool, is Inconel 625. It's a super alloy, nickel-based, really strong, really good corrosion resistance, really good like thermal properties for like heat cycling. And we printed a few parts with that. Also, we do like 17-4 stainless and some tool steels. And coming out in the future, I think, we'll be looking at probably 316L and titanium coming out in the near future.
Oh, wow. That's great. That's great. So it's really interesting to hear about all the different materials besides just, plastic or, any kind of polymers that you would use to print with.
And one other really interesting one that I would love to mention is we do a carbon fiber composite that's really unique. A lot of folks out there, they're doing like a chopped fiberglass, chopped carbon fiber, where they take almost like a carbon fiber powder and they mix it in with plastic. And it's still plastic. It's not actually a composite because it's homogeneous throughout the plastic. But what we're doing is we're using continuous carbon fiber. So this is a strand, and basically the printer will loop it into a part however you desire. You can set in the software, and it's like putting rebar into concrete. You're putting this internal supporting structure, and you can make stuff that's really, really strong, because carbon fiber in and of itself is actually stronger than steel. A lot of people don't know that.
Wow.
So we're doing a lot of fiber printing as well.
Right, and much lighter as well. That's really cool.
Right.
That's really cool. Okay, great. So, and one of the last questions I have for you, Andrew, is you were mentioning earlier about printing some things for during this time of COVID, that we're all kind of, our lives are kind of upside down right now with just trying to get through this. So, could you tell us a little bit more about that project?
Yeah. So when this whole epidemic started, got to give kudos to John and Fran, the owners of Design Point. We immediately formed a community outreach team, COVID response team, whatever you may call it, where we took about 10 of our employees from different areas within our business, some from operations, some from additive manufacturing, some from software, some from sales, et cetera. And we all teamed up. And the goal was to try to get as much protective gear into the hands of healthcare workers as quickly as we could. And I know just the other day we surpassed 5,000 units out there in the field. I know that we're already geared up to make another 6,000. So we're going to have at least 10,000 out there, 11,000 by the time we're done, whenever, hopefully soon. But yeah, basically it's been an interesting ride. We've been 3D printing our own visors to make protective face shields. We've also been teaming up with a lot of our customers. We have folks that are laser cutting the clear shields for that. Some folks are providing materials. We have a GoFundMe page where we're raising money to provide some of these materials. We've also had, like Brelan, for example, he was on a team designing a respirator, working with one of our customers. And I was working with another customer who's a metal injection molder, helping them get up and going, and supporting them by providing tooling and fixturing and prototyping to help them ramp up faster. So many different facets. We've just been digging in every way we can, and continue to keep pivoting and changing gears to see what we can do to help now.
Wow, that is fantastic. It's fantastic. It's so rewarding giving back to the community, and those are workers on the front line doing anything we can. Well, that's great. Well, thank you, Andrew. That was very informative, and thank you. And we'll hope to see you here at our next series.
Yeah, thanks, Brelan. Anytime.
Thanks for joining in.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.